All right, all right. Hello, good evening. It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. My name is Alexis of Ascension Diaries, and I'm here to bring to you a space weather report because February 8th especially was very active with Schumann resonance, and I'd like to capture this. And thank you all of you who are listening after me posting this to my blog on my website, ascensiondiaries.com. Thank you all of you who have signed up for my blog to get those emails and the reports on time. This is a test stream as well to see if I can improve the quality of the stream. So please let me know in the comments while we're live now if it's going smoothly, and then if it's not going so well, I'm just going to re-upload this afterwards. So either way, it's happening. I just wanted to try the live to see if it would actually go well and not buffer like crazy like it did last time. I'm trying to mitigate those issues. We'll see. So it is currently 22:11. That was awesome. I caught that number. It's 10:22 p.m. One of my favorite numbers, my birthday number, here in the Mountain Time range. And now let's get into some Schumann resonance. Why don't we? These are some good numbers I'm seeing, so why not jump into what I want to show you. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. Hey, Amanda. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming on. I wanted to jump on and show you this blast that we received on February 8th. We did receive some Schumann resonance stuff. We did, okay, thanks for the feedback. We did see some Schumann resonance stuff today as well on the 9th, but really the biggest blast and the biggest time span as well that we had a lot of white on this chart. This has been the first time in quite some time, from my memory anyways, that we're seeing something like this. So I would say that February 8th was a big hit. It was a big day. I spent the entire day on a mountainside skiing. So another huge hint for me, because I somehow divinely am in time with these bigger blasts, and on these bigger blasts I tend to be very busy that day, or doing some type of grid working or doing some type of community service, and that energy is like, I utilize that energy. I'm riding this energy. I'm noticing a correlation in my own life, which is why I do what I do here on here, and showing you these times and sharing these moments. So this connection can be made. This can go beyond. We can really utilize this data for our lives. So let's see. You see all of this whiteness here on the chart. That began around, and if I counted correctly, around 1 p.m. Mountain Time, February 8th, I believe, is when I looked it up. That's what the timing was. It's hard sometimes for me to do that, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure that was accurate. So you see there where it starts to turn white, and when those amplitudes increase, that's just what causes that whiteness, that brightness on that particular chart. It happened around 1 p.m. So that was right when literally right when I started skiing. Like, we had to wait in line. We were there in line way too long. And it was like frustrating to me. I'm like, as soon as I get on that hill, it's finally gonna be so satisfying. And that the timing of it is just insane. It lined up so perfect. And I do consider going to these mountains to be a grid working kind of dealio too. Mountain to mountain connecting. It's like a giant node on the grid, this giant electromagnetic peak of our planet. It's pretty cool. So really, really beautiful correlation there. So let's look into the actual data here. So let's just say that it did start around 1 p.m. I eyeballed it a little bit, but I'm just going to double check and see. 24-hour mark is 10 p.m. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, around 1. So I want to look at the bottom chart here. We're going to actually look into the bottom, because the top chart we're going to go into in the next slide. So let's look at the bottom here. So these are the first 4 Schumann resonances. Schumann resonances are important because they're unique to our planet based off of the size and shape of our ionosphere and the actual planet itself. And these frequencies are important as well because they lie in the human brainwave range. So when they're being stimulated, the correlation is very easy to understand that the human brainwaves are also being stimulated while these resonances are being stimulated. Why these specific frequencies really are being plucked out of the whole orchestra that's playing all the time and monitored by Russia is kind of an interesting question. And it is a scientific question in a way too. Some people will deny that this science isn't important, but why would they be doing this? Why would they be measuring these specific frequencies? I'm not doing it, they're doing it. These Russians and the Italians, but specifically the Russians are specifically measuring these first four spectral peaks of the Schumann resonances. So they're in the white. That is 7.83 on average, that frequency. This is the amplitude behavior of 7.83. So at 1 o'clock, you see that it rises up a little bit. And I have a little tool here that I actually added on to my... Oh, it's in the next. Oh no, here it is. I'm going to see if I can actually use this tool with you guys. I might as well. It's a drawing tool. So I'm going to draw on top of my slide right now. We'll see if it actually works, but I'm going to try and point this out. Here we go, little pen. Oh, actually, I think my pen is currently the color of black, so that's not going to show up so cute. Let's pick a white color. That'll help. Maybe like green or something. There you go. Let's see how that looks. And let's see how this loads. Hopefully it's not too choppy. Oh, come on. I'm trying. I see your comments, guys. I'm just focusing right now because this is like my brain. It has to like focus so I can do this properly. And I'll be right there. All right, so this... Ooh, wow. Okay, I'm doing this by hand. Okay, that was very sloppy, but... Now, can I delete that later? I guess we'll find out. But this is the area where, again, that's where this energy did peak. So that lines up to this blast right here that we see. Ooh, this blast right here is what we're looking at. But specifically, we're looking at 7.83, which lines up to about right here, horizontally. If that helps your eyeballs. This is getting sloppy real quick. This shape, what shape is that? Anyways, so that is the area we're going to look at first. And so that's where the first peak comes in, and then if you follow that white line to the right, you see that it does a few more peaks, and then it hits a maximum. You see it tops out at the top of the graph. And if you track your eyes to the top left, you see the number 53, if I'm reading that properly. So at that time, 7.83 hertz on average had an amplitude of 53. So these are the big numbers that everybody throws around. It's these amplitude numbers. So amplitude is basically the size of the energy that is pumping 7.83 hertz. And so the size got pretty large. It got to about a 53, which is fairly significant number. And then you see after that, it kind of lowers down. It's not as strong. And as you track across the graph there, you can see where it kind of breaks up and there's like multiple waves that come in. It didn't just hit 53 and just stay there for hours. It hit 53 at what time? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... around 9 p.m. February 8th, which is like when I got home. So that was the peak. It was at 9 p.m. February 8th, Mountain Time. So, check in with yourself. What were you doing last night at 9 p.m.? Were you really like having a hard time going to bed, or were you just totally crashing? These are the questions I now have. Now, I want to look at the other amplitudes. So there you see the yellow line there on the bottom chart. You see the yellow line. So that's covering the amplitude of 14 hertz. That's the second Schumann resonance peak, 14 hertz. And at a different hour, it peaked at its maximum amplitude. So usually the amplitude will peak at the same hour across all the frequencies. But actually with this one, it seemed like it seemed like the primary frequency peaked at 9 p.m., but then the other three did their peaks at a few hours earlier at, let's say, 9, 8, 7, around 7, 6 p.m. Very interesting. So the primary frequency actually peaked later on at its maximum than the other frequencies that are below it, or higher, I guess, rotating faster than it. Very strange. These are just some minor observations I'm sharing because I'm a nerd about this. But one more thing is that I want to show you is that you can see that the maximum of the yellow numbers, if you see there on the right hand side, was a 43. So from 53 to 43, that's a drop in 10 of intensity, but that's still pretty good. And then let's look at the red line, and that maxed out at 42. So 43 to 42 intensity, that's pretty strong. Like, that's pretty close. Usually there's a significant drop between intensity between those two frequencies. And then let's look at the green line, track to the right, look at the highest green number. And I think that says 58, but it might say 50. I'm actually having a hard time deciphering that on my tiny screen. It says 50, but still, it actually went and had a higher amplitude than the frequencies above it and almost higher than the primary frequency. So very, very strong energy really coming in. Overall, hitting and making these frequencies very amplified, very similarly amplified. It's very interesting. Also, the shape of those waves of the red and the green line look like a chair. It like peaks up and then there's like a little seat. And I don't see that very often either. So the behavior of the lines and of the amplitudes to me were very different than what I'm used to seeing. And this is just from a trained eye, basically. So you can take my word for it or not, but this is my opinion. And looking at the blast itself, it's very bright and very thick and very interesting. So now let's go into the next. It's buffering really bad. Oh. Is it buffering still? That's so sad. I'm trying so hard to get this to work. That's okay. Don't worry. I'm recording it. So after I get through this, you can watch the clean version. So just hang out with each other and chit chat and catch what you can. And for Whiteboard Wednesday tomorrow, I'm going to go completely bare bones and see if it has any improvements. And I'm only going to stream to YouTube. I'm also I'm streaming right now. I'm trying to stream to the Twitch and D Live at the same time, which is also probably what's slowing it down. But if you can even hear what I'm saying, but I will only stream to YouTube because I don't even have real audiences on those other platforms. I just was hoping to branch to those audiences to share this data with them, share something new other than video games, basically with these audiences that are consuming live streams over there. But maybe YouTube's just going to be my place, and that's fine. Like I'm going to try and simplify things. I was just testing to see if this could maybe work better, the little changes I did make, but that's okay. Don't worry. The data will be up. All right, so let's look a little bit closer about what the brainwaves did with this one. This is the same chart. I'm just going to look a little deeper. So first of all, my eyes are getting drawn to a few of these horizontal lines, especially this faint one that's closer to the right-hand side in the middle there. And if you track that all the way across, it looks like it's hanging out at like 24 hertz. So let's look at the brainwaves. Let's see where that's hanging out. So first of all, you can see those like vertical blasts from top to bottom. You can see that they basically stimulated during certain times almost all of our brainwaves. Like the whole brainwave scale was getting tickled to a certain degree. More so though between the delta brainwaves and into beta and high beta, and then touching the edge of gamma brainwaves. So again, let's just say, and again, the green line, which covers 24 hertz. So let's talk about that. That's like high beta frequencies, which is when you're really alert, really active. You can start getting into anxiety and stress, actually, if you sustain high beta too long. Thankfully, these blasts didn't sustain too many hours, but really, it looks like quite a few hours were stimulated. So maybe you were having a little bit of an anxiety attack last night. no problem. There's some evidence here that it wasn't you, and that probably more people around the earth were having the same experience. People with brains, that is, you know. Arguably, some people don't have those, but we're not worried about them right now. So, yes, that is high beta activity. And then if you were lucky, you got to move into the gamma brainwave range and you had more intention. You had more wakefulness, compassion, perception. This is when you start getting those downloads, you guys. This is when I feel like your crown starts opening up and you start receiving more data. You're processing at a higher speed. This is a faster rotation per second. These brain waves, these frequencies are rotating faster. But there again, up in the top there, in the delta and the theta and the alpha range is where a lot of the meat of this was, of course, across all of these blasts. You can see all of these white points. Most of the whiteness is hanging out in delta, which is a slower, sleepier brainwave, into theta, which is when you're kind of meditating. You're able to recall and make memories more, able to, use your brain to navigate, and also REM sleep. And then alpha brainwaves is more about like idle calmness. But I believe that I'm seeing a lot of stimulation in the theta range. And the high beta and beta range is where I'm seeing a lot. But let's actually look at alpha, because there is a horizontal line there. Horizontal line basically right through all of that. And it's just amazing. Like it really is complex, and so are our brainwaves. You're not just firing one brainwave and then you switch to another brainwave. We're not that simple. There is constant activity going on in different areas of the brain as well. So it's a very complex thing. I'm trying to break it down to be more simple, but our brains and what they do and these frequencies that we live in, they're very complicated. It's like a symphony. But right now we're looking at times where the brass section just like really blew it and just blew as hard as they could. You know what I mean? And those instruments got super loud. That's kind of how I visualize it. So let's look into some more data from other spots, because Italy also popped off. So come on, Italy, you can do it. And this is also loading live for me, so it may be a little slower. Okay, so Italy as well in the last 24 hours even. Not so much yesterday, but more so today. It looks like there was more activity, but it looks like yesterday there also was. You can see there on the bottom left on the middle chart, that blast right there, that would have been yesterday. And then the one on the farthest right, that's the most recent one. And then on the far right graph, you can see more details into that. So let's just look at what happened today, since we can't get a close-up of what happened yesterday, unfortunately. So here's today. Again, we're seeing a horizontal line hanging out at around 50 hertz, and it's hitting a decibel range that's just below human ear range, which is just constant. This is constantly be going. It could be background radiation from their own electricity that they have there, but I don't know why it's so loud. You know what I mean? It is concerning, because if you have a constant frequency to a certain amplitude, our brainwaves will get stuck there. It will be influenced by that way more often, in my opinion. And having your brain around 50 hertz, that is in the gamma range. So maybe it's not so bad. But I feel like your brains do need breaks. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be some variety. I guess things just have to actually get louder than that for your brain to get into another variety. But this blast more so, where you see there's more, it looks very organic. It looks kind of like fire. It looks like a flame. It's like a really beautiful gradient. So the redness means that it hits a minus 50 decibels or higher. Humans hear sounds at 0 and up decibels. And so we can't hear most of these things, but we can sense them. We have other sensation abilities. We're sensitive to electromagnetic fields. We are electromagnetic beings. And so it says there at the bottom on the gray chart, you see that gray area where there's numbers that are going up. Those are the hertz. That's the frequency. So there it goes, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And that's where the redness kind of pops off. It's right around 40 hertz. And then there, that line is at 50. So it got decently activated, basically maxing out the chart's ability to show us this sound, this frequency. And 0 to 40 hertz seem to be stimulated, which is the whole Italian chart. This only measures 0 to 40 up and down, this chart. So we're getting a little bit extra not info from Italy, but it doesn't seem like it actually, we needed that, because sure, there's still more stimulation all the way up to 100 hertz with that kind of greenish color, but it's not that high. But it's still significant compared to the surrounding area. It's louder. So just so you know, there is proof in the pudding here. It's there. I'm seeing it in multiple locations around the world on February 8th and today on the 9th. 2 days of activity. This is heart math. They track 6 locations around the world. One of them is California, and the one that you see there on the left, that one line that's going way up, that dark color, that dark purple line, that's South Africa. South Africa is very, very intense most of the time. Like, South Africa are my best readings, it seems like. And there on the right-hand side, on that bottom row, that's also South Africa. Similar style graph that we see with Italy and with Russia. It's kind of like a thermograph, so with more intensity, it gets a brighter color. And we're seeing intensity plowing in every single day. And that's only up until the 7th. The data from the 8th isn't even available yet. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe on Sunday we'll check back with our space weather report and see if it gets really wild, and maybe I'll plop it into that 3-minute video. Okay, so now we're going to look at the sun, because the sun is major clues about why this all came in. And there was a CME perfectly timed with this 3 days prior to now on the, what was it, the 4th? It'll load here. Okay, so now you see these 2 charts there on the bottom, the 2 solar charts there, the red and the blue one. There's the times in the bottom left of those charts. And, it looks like they're cutting out the data again. But, okay. It was the 5th. So 5th, 6th, 7th. So it came on time. It actually came a little bit slower, in my opinion. Doesn't look like I'm seeing anything huge popping off the sun right now. So right now we're still decently in the clear. Like, I think we're going to have things kind of slow down a little bit unless there's more cosmic radiation that's coming not from the sun. So these are times when, the sun is quiet, and then in the next few days, if we just keep seeing big Schumann blasts and all this, and earthquakes and volcanoes going off, like, what is the other sources that this energy can come from? And it basically can be from anywhere in the cosmos. It can be our whole Milky Way flying through a highly charged area of particles. And these are the theories that people run with and claim that this is what the Great Awakening is it's not our sun doing this to us, but it's actually the space that our sun is pulling our whole solar system in, as the whole arm of our Milky Way is rotating closer, and we're rotating closer to the center of the Milky Way, which just has more energy because there's more solar energy there. It's a fascinating topic, but that's why we watch all of these things. I'm seeing that my frames have dropped 12 times, so we've lagged 12 times so far in this stream. Just so you know, I can see there is some data on my end that there is issues, but 12 is not a great number. It's pretty high already. All right, let's try and see some more data here. I'm so proud of this setup, and it's just so sad that it's not working. It'll work. We're going to make it work. I'm not worried. So now let's look at the KP index. So even though the Schumann resonance got really high on February 8th and 9th, you can see that the KP here, those colored green bars, they didn't get up too high. Like, they're pretty normal. So the solar wind speed also seemed to be just around average, 400. But there's also some data missing here in the solar wind stream, because you can see there's a nice yellow line. Look at the yellow line there. and then there's a blank area, and then there's like some really sporadic yellow like dots all over the place, and my lights just shifted behind me. So this is a sign that there was again some type of solar wind disturbance. They maybe deleted or cut out the data, but something may have impacted us in an interesting way there. And there on the right hand side, this solar X-ray, the X-ray fluctuations also didn't get into any dangerous levels. So it was just the Schumann that seemingly was getting the most activated. And now I'm going to look into the global coherence dot here and just check in with today. And it looks like that we had a decent level of green normal coherence, but we did dabble quite a bit, it looks like, in the yellow, which is slightly increased network variance amongst the brains of the planet and like the energies of the planet. They weren't as cohesive, just slightly less cohesive today. And we're getting a little bit of orange as well. So just a little less cohesive today. I don't see much blue on here. Just a little point where it did get blue. Looks like that might have been when everybody kind of got off of work, which is when everybody's in a better mood. So at least in North America. So it's an interesting dot to watch. It's basically a random number generator. And so when the numbers are more like each other, then that means that there's global coherence in the collective conscious, like in the quantum realm, basically. It's fascinating. But yeah, now I'm gonna just chill with you guys for a little long. I'm just gonna read some of your comments. Whoops. I just did that actually. If you guys want to join my monthly personal messages, a tier of my website, of the subscribing to my ascensiondiaries.com, I do monthly personal readings for the people who do that. It's $40 a month for this reading. I just did them. I'm going to upload that next, and it went really well. So if you want to jump on to March, or you want to check out how I do my readings, you can watch that video next when I'm, done doing this with you guys, and check out my readings, my style. If it vibes with you, sign up, get a reading every month. It really helps. But yeah, that's one of my major offers. So let's see, can I just like talk to you guys with just the webcam here? Here we go. All right, so let's just read the comments really quick. Let's get your feedback about how you've been feeling about the space weather, and then we'll wrap up this video and we'll upload it again, because I think we're buffering pretty hard. So I'm gonna, whatever you guys were able to glean from what I said, and I'm gonna keep working on making the quality of this better and making it a little less ridiculous. If I have to just pre-record these and then premiere them and hang out with you after, that's fine. But who doesn't? I love live streaming. It's so fun. So we're gonna figure it out. There's new MacBooks coming out in the spring, and maybe this stimulus check might be what I will spend it on, and just finally upgrade my equipment. So this won't even be an issue. You guys will never have to worry about buffering again. We'll see. All right, so you guys have been feeling it. Amanda says she's feeling it. Hi, Nima. Nice to see you. Wowzer, says Zachary. Yes, I was on the Kate Awakening channel today with my husband Jace, and we had a little round table fun time talking about space weather. Hopefully you'll be able to sleep tonight. Your feet are buzzing. Does anyone else's feet buzz when the energies are getting high? Is what Ambi wants to ask everyone. Amanda hasn't been sleeping very well either. Well, does make sense, because we have been getting that high beta alpha range kind of frequency boost, so your brain doesn't really sleep in those areas as well, unless you're super tired and really stubborn like myself. Amanda says full body vibrations, crown chakra vibrations. Interesting. Have been having the Brooklyn Way says they've been having crazy insomnia, and your heart is feeling and doing weird stuff at night, but you're not sure what it is. Interesting. So like you're having some heart chakra shifts. Yeah, I actually don't even know the science of frequency effects on the heart. That's not even something I studied, and I just thought of it now as something that I should definitely look into, is how frequencies may affect the neurons in your own heart and your heart's work, because your heart as well is an electromagnetic thing. It's the most strong and magnetic area of your body. It's the center of your torus. So Very important to know how frequencies affect that area, really. So would the high amplitude at the lower frequency cause the sleepiest nights, or is it higher frequencies? It's interesting. If we were just seeing white in like the delta area, just in like the 0 to like 4 hertz, that's when I would wonder if maybe just like people's brainwaves are just going right to delta, like you're being entrained into delta range through that, and then you would probably sleep very deeply, in my opinion. But I'm still new to this work, so these are questions we should be asking and the data we should be gathering together. I was driving a heavily loaded semi with 40,000 pounds of chemicals and looking for a place to park to sleep, but didn't sleep very well. Ooh, yeah, that's a big job, big responsibility. We'll need your good rest for that. Take care of yourself out there. I believe the Disclosure News had some good info on the connection to solar weather with our brainwaves and heart. Excellent. And Caltech did some great studies. Great. I mean, it's honestly one of the most important things, in my opinion, to be talking about. It seems that most people experience sleepiness during these blasts. I wonder if entities that exist at 4D and 5D sleep less in general. Interesting questions. Like when you are vibrating faster, do you sleep? Probably not. Maybe they have adapted a way to be restful at higher frequencies, like hummingbirds maybe. We're still with you. Thank you, Tessa. All right. Thanks for sharing some links for disclosurenews.it. Yeah, disclosurenews.it and I have had some disagreements, but hey, it's good to continue encouraging this pursuit of knowledge. So, yeah, check out those articles. I'll check out those articles. Thank you, says Mike. You've helped me understand the Schumann. Found you from Alara. Oh, nice to meet you, Mike. Thanks for coming over. Alara Soul Fam. If I remember right, that website had great info from the Heart Institute. Oh, very good. Nice. And your ears have been ringing for weeks. Yes, I brought up the ear ringing today at the round table we did on my friend Kate Awakening's channel. She has quite a large following, so it was nice to be able to kind of input what I could about space weather. Be like, oh, here, just take it, and come to my channel if you need more. And someone was like, ear ringing, that's real. That's something that's assigned to like your superpowers and your DNA activating and your brain waves and your sensitivity and your sensate abilities. And yes, I 100% agree with that. Ear ringing is like one of the top symptoms that I've noticed that is correlating more so with, I think, with your DNA activating and your abilities to sensate the electromagnetic field around you is increasing. And also your ears and your eyes or so on are like right around the area of your third eye as well. So in my opinion, that is such a radio transceiver, that gland in the middle of your head, that like pool of liquid, I think it is, in the middle of your head, this pineal gland. So maybe you're hearing ringing in your ears, but there's no ringing sound. So what are you hearing? And I think you're hearing pitches and shifts in the frequencies around you changing. But if you're hearing constant ringing, and it's not when there's space weather, and there's not when you're seeing Schumann resonance blasts, especially if you're hearing constant ringing, that is a sign, in my opinion, that you are living in a place where there is some type of tower, some type of frequency, an artificial frequency, and most likely you're living close to a city. Most cases, that's the case. People who live out in the country, they don't really report this that often unless they went to a lot of rock concerts and a lot of concerts and they've just damaged their ears and they've damaged the nerves and they're constantly firing. But I would recommend, unfortunately, that if you are having issues with ear ringing, make sure you don't have a smart meter on your house. Maybe stop using Wi-Fi. And if those things don't work, or any other major radios especially, get them away from you. Unplug them all. Don't use them. And if that's not working, you're most likely going to have to move. And that's rough because telling somebody to move, that's a big move. Like, if I am a doctor in this scenario, I would be like, you got to move. You got to move to somewhere away from the matrix of a city of all those artificial frequencies, because you're going to be tormented by this high ringing probably until you do leave. And before you move, drive to the location where you want to move to and sit there for a while and see if that ear ringing is still there. And if it is, keep driving far and far away from civilization. And if you get all the way out as far as you can from civilization, make yourself the priority, because this is your life. Go out there, make it a day trip, whatever you got to do. Camp out there. Find a place that's far away. And if you're still hearing the ringing, like you cannot get away, and you know there's no way, you have no phone signal, you've got no signal or anything, there's like no housing out there, whatever, and you're still hearing it, then contact me, because I may be able to put you into contact. You may even need to try acupuncture, and you may need to do other ways to try and shift your frequency and also open up or even release nervous system tension. And also, I would also wonder that there may be something else going on in your system. And I may even venture to say something along the lines of implants. And that's a tricky subject, but etheric implants and then physical implants are something that a lot of my personal friends, close friends, do work with people on a regular basis. And if you can't get away from it in the physical, you may need to reach out to somebody and try and have them check in on your body, because people have this psychic vision to literally see around you and see if there's anything weird etherically attached to you. And they will help you through meditation and through visualization to get rid of these things. And you may want to consider that as a tactic. I'm just offering that because I know these things. And you don't have to take that advice. I definitely would recommend, it's easier and less expensive to just drive out away from cell phone towers and any service and see if the ringing stops first. And then if it doesn't, then I would recommend investing in a healer who knows what they're doing, who've seen many clients like you and have a lot more practice and technique to try and help you. And if not them, they also know a lot of people who they could direct you to, and I can help you with that if you need. So contact me on my website or ascensiondiaries@gmail.com if you do need that help, or leave a comment below this video. I'd be happy to help you with that, because of course I don't want you to suffer anything unnecessarily. So I'll do my best as a practitioner as well to get you the help that you need. We're a team, and I love and care about you as myself. So I wish myself to be living a glorious, happy life. I'm just going to finish reading the comments, and then we're going to head on out of this little realm here. It was a short one today. So much ear ringing. You guys are all hearing it. Little ear ringing, though, is really cool, because those are moments where you're like actually having a sensatory, in my opinion, they call it clairaudient. And I believe it's like you're having an extrasensory ability to pick up on messages, and potentially messages from your guides, like your ancestors that stand behind you, your guardian angels and so on, who are with you. And if you aren't familiar with that, and I just would like to recommend just claiming it out loud. I only associate with benevolent beings. I only receive messages in these ways from benevolent beings, if at all. I only receive messages from benevolent beings. And I'm protected by the armor of God, basically, is what I would recommend as a way to kind of set your boundary. And then, when these messages do come in and you do get clicks and dings and so on around you, you can know and be playful and happy with it. Be discerning always. But if you keep making that boundary known, then you can't be led astray by somebody who's trying to take advantage of you, that has a malevolent or a self-centered intent with your third dimensional suit, like trying to get you to do something that they want you to do, and so on. Don't become some puppet just because you're like, oh, my ear rang. It's a good thing. It's like, okay, make sure that you put those boundaries out first, and then work forward from there. Like the first sensory, you don't have to be scared of them, but just when you start receiving these things, make your boundaries known is my recommendation. And know that the angels, like benevolent angels, your benevolent ancestors, your bloodline beings, and your guides, your benevolent guides, and God, creator, source itself is speaking to you, and that's all that you wish to hear and listen to in that form. In my opinion, I think that's a really good idea to do that. Yeah, Gabrielle, I agree. Aren't they under California law? The Native Americans call it the Song of Life. Oh, nice. Hi, Alexis. I just saw you for the first time on Kate today. Had to check you out and just happened to catch you live. Well, it's lovely to have you. Nice to see you, Mystic Microphage. Thank Willow for me for the protective feather. Oh, you're welcome. All right. Oh, it's as soon as I looked at the time, it's 41:41. So that is some good vibes. That is some angelic numbers right there, in my opinion. So that's a good sign for me. I'm going to now close this portal. I watched the stream drop 18 times apparently. So I am going to re-upload this. If you guys noticed there was buffering, don't worry. I'm going to re-upload this, and all of you watching this now in the future don't know what I'm talking about, but I live streamed this, and now I'm going to replace the live stream with a better version so you can see what I actually said. And we're going to keep working on making this a smoother situation and upgrading the equipment eventually. But if I have to go bare bones as much as possible, only stream to one platform using my laptop, that's going to be the way it is. And I'm totally fine with that. I have the most people on YouTube anyways. So it's lovely to be with you. Thank you, Tessa. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Ambi. Oh, Tessa, you're not even a mod yet. I got to mod you guys. Man, I'm slacking. I'm like, oh, I should do it now before it's too late, but I'm already recording this. So maybe I'll stop the recording and then I will do the rest, and then I'll end the stream, okay? So those of you watching the recording, thank you very much for joining me for the space weather update. I'd love to hear about your symptoms in the last 48 hours on the 8th and the 9th, where you were in the world, and what your questions are potentially, so we can continue the conversation and I can answer your questions in the comments, and we can learn about all this stuff together, and I'll share with you the knowledge that I've been able to glean over the last, 5 years of doing this. So until next time, I will see you when I see you, actually tomorrow for Whiteboard Wednesday, so look out for that. I will schedule it so you guys can know ahead of time when I'm actually going live, so we can all meet together, and I will make it bare bones, and we'll see how that works, so we know for sure the quality I can actually provide with these streams. So until then, I will see you later.